are about to connect with people who are ready to bring you the most open, honest, and revealing life stories. Welcome to JourneyTV. Welcome to this week's episode of JourneyTV. I'm Merlene Camille, your host, and today my guest is Delisa Ferguson. Delisa.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us on JourneyTV to share your story. I want you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Okay, well, my name is Delisa Ferguson, wife of the late Lyrically Blessed. I'm a mother of two fantastic, vibrant, busy, twin 4-year-olds.
Twins?
Twins, yes.
Wow.
I'm an IT professional. I have my bachelor's degree in computer information science. I'm a Toastmaster. I'm an inspiring author. And I'm just here trying to live out my purpose and be all that God has called me to be, which is an everyday process.
Mm-hmm. Amen. So before we get into you giving us more about being what God has called you to be through your foundation and just everything that you are doing, help us to understand your personality as a child.
Well, as a child, I was very, very quiet, very timid. My father was a military man, and so he had a real tight grip on me and my older brother. He was no nonsense, and you know that he and my mother together, they were old school, and so they really believed in non-expression. They didn't really encourage me to express myself, and anything that appeared to be so was noted as disrespectful. And so I was taught to sit small and just take whatever as it comes. And so, yeah, as a child, like I said, I was very, very timid, kind of a pushover in some cases. And as I got older, I think it kind of changed. It evolved into something different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how did that inform you as being a parent? How did that?
So certainly, my kids, for as soon as they could talk, I would have conversations with them as if they were adults. I want their feedback. I want them to tell me how they feel. I want them to be free to express who they are. Of course, in a respectful manner, I encourage that. But I try not to stifle them and just allow them to be. Because I understand that it will serve them as adults in this world. Because you don't want to stifle the child, and now as an adult, they cannot express themselves. They cannot speak out against certain things because they've been taught a certain way. And so I have within myself, I have really stood on the fact that, okay, my kids, it's going to be different for them. And that's what I've been doing in that regard.
Awesome. And you've been doing this alone for a couple of years because we are here today to honor your husband's memory. But you have continued to parent on that level. I'm sure that y'all would have been parenting together on your own.
Yeah.
So tell us about Lyrically Blessed.
Oh man, he was a great man. I mean, outside of the minister that you guys knew, he was an awesome husband, an awesome friend. Excited to be a father. The kids were 1.5 when he died. But those 1.5 years, it was so full. So much so that 2 to 3 years after his passing, the kids, my son especially, was still asking for him every day for 2 years.
Wow.
Asked for his father. And so I decided I was going to carry them to the graveyard one day. That was the first time I had carried them back since, the first and only time I carried them since the actual burial. And I carried them so that they could see that he's really not coming back. This is it. This is where people go when they die. And we have to find a way to move forward. And they understood that. At 3 years old, they understood that, and it made it a bit easier for me, not having to hear them keep asking, all the time. And so now they're just looking forward now to something new, and so I can rest easy on that. But my husband, he was a beautiful man. He was funny. He was confident yet humble. He was supportive. He was bold but quiet, and I've learned so much from him, just watching him interact with people, watching how he ministered, his relationship with God, his family, and he has just been a great inspiration in life and in death to me and to so many others.
And you said bold, but still quiet. And when you were younger, you said that you couldn't be bold. So he has, I'm sure, poured that into you because you are continuing his legacy through the foundation. Tell us about the foundation.
Well, the foundation, like you said, it was started in his honor and really to carry on that which he had started. And it's really my way of extending God's hands and feet through the earth, because he did it his way, and I just want to carry it on in my way. And because I don't sing. I do dance, but no. And so, and the organization consists of 3 pillars, which is outreach, health awareness, and mentorship. And it launched 1 year after his passing in 2018. And we've been doing some great things, and there's so much more great things, so many great things on the table going forward with this organization. And I know he would be so excited to know that I'm doing something like that, me, who's just so scary and timid. But like I say, I learned so much from him, and watching how he moved, and to be so bold and confident and yet so soft and humble, all at the same time. I was marveled by it. And just to replicate that, and even now in where I'm at now, I feel as though I have attained a level of boldness, in my space. I'm a little nervous now, but I'm surviving, sitting here. But I'm doing what I feel God has called me to do, and recognizing that it's not about me, but it's about those who will hear the story and who will see God in it, and who will take from it what is for them.
You are incredibly strong. First of all, to have twins, I know that alone is a whole, that's a lot. And to have to rear them alone, and you just took up the baton and continued. But we do have to take a break. We're gonna come right back. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Nkosi Kweku-Simonet, CEO and Operations Manager at Sign Island. Sign Island started from desperation. My wife went ahead and bought the first printer. I still have no idea how we are where we are. I owe it all to my staff and my customers. You need support. One man is not an island. You can't do it on your own. If you think you can do it on your own and you are succeeding, you can do even more with a little bit of support. The support I've got from my clients has been amazing.
Welcome back. But if you're just joining us, I'm here with Delisa Ferguson, wife of the late Japheth, Lyrically Blessed Ferguson. Delisa, before the break, you would have, given us just a good feel of the type of father, the type of just man of God your husband was. You also talked about just you raising your twin boys, and just everything you had to do with him not being here anymore with you to partner with you in every area. So give us more about that journey, because I just can't imagine having that blow and then having to get up and still look at the face of both of your kids at 1.5. You had to continue.
Well, firstly, it's a boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl, Japheth and Jayla. It was definitely a traumatic experience. I mean, I'm not the only one that would have had to live through it, but going through it for yourself, it was a time of survival for me, And my kids, though, they were just playing and living, just blissfully unaware of the devastation that had just hit our family, and the long road ahead of healing that we would have to endure. I know you mentioned before that I had to raise them, or I'm raising them on my own, but there's been a lot of help, a lot of support, you know, without which I don't know where I would have been. Definitely leaning on the Word of God. I didn't know how strong my faith was until that happened. You know, and it's amazing. It's really us. When we get into the Word, we study the Word, it's us really building our arsenal for when it's time for war. Because you can't learn how to swim if you're drowning, right? You got to get those lessons in beforehand. And so I had a lot of Word on the inside of me that I could have go back to, that I could have leaned on. A lot of Word that helped me to take it one step at a time and move forward. But there was a time in between waking up to the Word and really being in that place, the reality of what was happening, and that was not a good place. It was really dark. I remember one time, a friend of mine, she had came over. But first they had friends, like I told you, support. I had a circle of friends that actually made a schedule, and they would sleep over, they would liaise with each other as to who would stay with me and the kids. You know, I wasn't even a part of it. I just knew someone was going to be there with me. And one time she told me she was standing behind me and she could see the wounds in my back, because at that time I had lost so much weight, vomiting bile, I wasn't eating, I looked terrible, I felt terrible, it was bad. And then I have 2 small kids I still have to deal with, right? So that's where support came in. But it was a tough time. And then it was this period that I call survival mode, where I had to shut it down. I had to shut down whatever I felt was negative, what wasn't giving me a feeling of I'm okay, it's okay, I'm happy. But I was faking it until I made it. I still haven't made it. I'm still in a process of going through and getting through to the other side. But survival mode, and the problem with survival mode though is, see, when it was time for me to go back to work, because I had left my job as a computer programmer for the government to actually work full time with my husband in ministry and in the family business. And so when he had passed away, his family business rather, it was more like, okay, we don't need you anymore, kind of thing. And so I was left with 2 one-year-old kids, no job, no income, really just the support of the nation. Right. And you know, people just saying, here, this is for you and the kids, and literally living like that for 1 year. Can you imagine? And just the grace and the mercies of God and his hand. It was like, you know, being fed by ravens. That's what that period was. And I started work again a year later as a computer programmer again. And to have to now step out of survival mode, which I said was what I call survival mode, the period of just shutting down whatever I feel wasn't serving the joy, or the happiness. I didn't want any stress. I didn't want any, because I felt the anger, the animosity, everything, the pain, everything was making me sick. And so I had to kick it out by any means necessary. And so now it's time to work. Now it's time to provide for me and my children. I went from being self-employed to now being the sole provider for me and these kids. I've never been in this position before. Never been a single mother. Me and my husband was together from I was 18. Wow. I don't know what to do, how to work this thing. But now I'm here on this job, and I'm having problems focusing because I am in survival mode. I don't want nothing. I don't need nothing impeding on what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this together. I want to be happy.
You're trying to live. You're trying to get through the next
day.
Right.
I'm trying to be happy, and anything that wasn't served, anything that felt like work, I blocked it out, and it became a problem, you know, for the next phase of my life. So that was another adjustment I had to do in recalibrating and getting that in alignment, you know, so that I could provide for me and my children for this phase of our life. But certainly God has been a keeper. God is faithful. God is full of mercy and grace. All of those cliches that we learn in church that we have rehearsed to be just that, paragraphs and words that come so alive in times of trauma and trials. It gets so real. And that's when we really get to see who God is.
I want you to speak into viewers out there that are watching the show and might have gone through, have lost a family member that was their rock, their provider, their everything, their life partner in different ways, you know. That could be a parent or just someone who they completely depended on. I want you to speak directly to those people, whether you share the words that you said that lives in you. Go ahead.
Yes, certainly. First of all, God never puts more on us than we can bear. You know, another cliche it may seem, but it's real. It's as real as we are. And unfortunately, some of those sayings we only could really encounter. It only becomes real when life gets real, you know. And like the Bible says, the Word of God speaks to all things working together for our good, and it really does. And no matter how dark it gets, the sun shines again. It always does. It has to. So stand on that. Stand on the promises of God and that He will never leave or forsake us, because we are His own. He loves us.
What are the last what are the last sentiments you want to leave with us about your husband, your life with your husband, the love that y'all shared, and just how you are continuing his work?
Yeah, like I told you, you know, we were together from we were 18. I'm 35 now. Well, he passed away when I was 31, 4 days before my 32nd birthday. And I have never known a man outside of my husband, you know, in any way, intimately, you know, I don't know. And so that connection in itself has fostered such a bond that was out of this world, right? He was everything. He was everything to me and my children, our family, his family, our friends. Like I shared some characteristics earlier, you know, funny, charismatic, soft. I guess he appeared to be hard, but he was really soft. He was, you know, out to the world. He would minister with such grace and confidence, and then he'd come home and he could rest his crown down and he could be himself. And I always wanted him to know that I was always there for him, and he always made me feel like he was there for me. Made me feel like I could do anything because he was there. And so now having to navigate life without him was very hard because I didn't have that support that I was so used to having. But yeah, just carrying on the legacy, it felt like a task in a sense. It was intimidating because of who he was to the nation, how people saw him. And I honestly did not recognize the level of respect, the level of notoriety that he had until he died. Wow. I didn't know because he was just Jay to me. He was just my husband. He was my boy, you know. And so that's all I saw, really. And the man of God, of course. But I didn't see that level. But after it was recognized, I felt, okay, so I have to do something. We can't let this die out with him. And so that's where the birth of the organization came into play. And just really having that passion to further his legacy in any way that I can.
So you mentioned earlier that the nation came together and helped you and supported you. I will tell you that we continually support you. We are in admiration of you. You are amazing. You are strong. You are continuing this legacy, giving back to the community, like you said, in all those areas that you mentioned earlier. So continue to do your excellent work. Continue to glorify God. And, you know, we are all proud of you. I am positive that your husband is proud of you as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
And thank you for, because I know this was not easy today, I know this was not easy today, so thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being transparent, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
Want to learn more about our guests? Subscribe to Footprints Journey blog, where special features will be released to give you more insight into their journeys and allow you to ask them questions.
We want you
to journey with us.
Footprints!
I am an overcomer.
I am an overcomer.
I am an overcomer.
And you? You are an overcomer. I know because you have endured and persevered through so many of life's biggest challenges.
Join us for stories like yours, stories of incredible strength, courage, and survival. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on RTV.
JourneyTV.
JourneyTV.
We share
life's truths.
The Give Back, presented by Ensure. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
My name's Aiden Roker.
My name's Isabella Roker, and our organization is Pass It Along. Last summer we did community service with other organizations, so we got a feel of like the community in the Bahamas, and like we just got to see like poverty in different areas. And we realized during the pandemic, many families are struggling just to feed families. So we thought it was a great opportunity to start our own organization.
So far, we've been able to deliver around like 6 times to Gambia. We collected our food through friends and people.
Family.
We spread it through our social media platform on Instagram.
Each time we went, we deliver at the park, Gambia Park. Each time, like within 5 minutes, all of it's gone because families are coming so quickly. So, like recently, we've been trying to get more donations so we could feed more people. When we were little, at our school, there's a lot of charity events like bike-a-thons to help with St. Jude's. Cancer, yeah.
And then specifically Gambia, why we decided to deliver there was because like we
We're
played
familiar.
soccer there and we're familiar
Yeah.
with the area. People in our school grew up there.
So we're familiar with
we have a connection. If you want to help us, you can just hit us up on social media, on our platform on Instagram, passit.along. We accept food donations. People can come help us if you want, just hit us up.
Volunteer and
volunteers
share.
if needed. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Move with strength and energy. Drinking Ensure, you get vitamins, minerals, and up to 30 grams of high-quality protein. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
Philippa, I'm sure you were inspired by Delisa's journey, by her sharing, just how she had to regroup and parent and carry on the legacy of Japheth, Lyrically Blessed. What is your feedback on Delisa's journey?
She shared a very powerful journey about coping with the loss of a loved one. And if I could just generally speak, when we hear the word or the term grief, we often think about the loss of a person or a loved one. But the reality is, people can also grieve over other circumstances, like separation, like divorce, like a failed goal or failed grades. People can grieve over losing possessions. People can also grieve over a breakup with a boyfriend or even a girlfriend. So grief comes in different forms as well. We know that there are 5 stages of grief, but the thing about it is, and this is important for people to understand, is that even though there are 5 stages of grief, you don't have to go through all of the stages, and you don't have to go through the stages in order. Okay? And it is also important to realize that there is no time frame on your grieving. Grieving for people look completely different. There's one aspect that I'd like to focus on from a story, just generally, and that's the aspect of how do you assist children? Because her husband died when her kids were very, very young. Very young. Yeah. So how do you help children navigate that? Of course, how you help them navigate that is going to depend on the closeness of their relationship with the person that they lost, as well as their age. So with those things considered, if you have a child who has lost someone dear to them, how do you help them cope? Grieving is different for everyone, particularly different and hard for children, especially children who are not yet of the age who have the words to express what it is that they may be feeling. So how do you help them cope? One of the things you can help them to do is just that. Help them find the words to express what it is that they are feeling, this grief, this loss. Another thing that you can also do is you can help them to remember. Do practical activities, a scrapbook, a memory book, a memory box. Help them to remember the fond things about the person who they lost. Also, when you are speaking about grief with young children, use language that is age appropriate, right? Use language that is simple, that is clear, that they can understand. And my final tip would be to speak to your children, have a conversation with them if they are old enough to comprehend. Speak to them about the expectations moving forward. How is our life? How is your life going to be impacted? How is it going to be different because of the person who we lost? And those are just some practical tips that you can use when or if you have a child who's going through the grieving or bereavement process.
Awesome, awesome advice. Like I said, her story was so inspiring, and she's continually, carrying on the legacy and just being the empowered woman that, God has called her to be.
Like she said, that's a journey.
That's a journey.
That's a journey.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, give love and light to the people around you, but most importantly, don't forget to give it to yourself. Join us next time for more JourneyTV.